Hey everyone, my name's AfterEffects and today I'll be covering idea generation. I've trolled through the internet as well as my own brain and compiled a ton of tips and techniques that work for others and myself. Let's jump right in. Generating ideas is preparation. Ideas come from links in your brain. A well-fed brain with information can find new links or create entirely new ones. Life experiences are key to this. As writers, many of us stay locked up in our houses writing. We're typically not the most adventurous people. This can lead to writers who don't have fresh or interesting ideas, and that's kind of a problem. You're gonna think I'm being a little mean, but I know many writers who are a little boring. They don't engage in conversation, they don't voice opinions, they don't go out of their comfort zones. This shows in not only their ideas, but their writing. Crazy people can make good books, which is why many of you listening are out of your bloody minds. This is also the reason why many classics come from authors who've led really rich lives, free from the shackles of conformity. Here's some tips to lead you towards feeding your brain. Inspiration in you. There are 7 main ways you can learn. It's important to know what your type is so it can help you not only learn but to create. It's important to stick to your strengths. Pick yours and keep in mind for the rest of this video, as it'll help you pick the best techniques to optimize the media types you consume. The first type's visual. These kind of learners prefer images and mind maps to process information. Auditory. These guys learn through noise. Normally this applies to remembering things like pitch or rhythm, but for this video it applies to creating ideas while listening to music. Verbal. These people learn through verbalizing their thoughts, pretty simple. Kinetic or physical. Doers need to do. This learner will thrive by drawing diagrams, writing out their ideas, and so on. Logical. This type will learn by understanding the bigger picture. They need to get logic and reasoning behind the concept before they can delve into it. Social. They prefer to learn in groups, talking to friends and voicing their ideas. Solitary. Opposite to social, this type of learner will sit alone and study. Note that you may be a mixture of these. I'm a logical visual learner primarily, for example, but also note these are just your primary methods. All of these can work for anybody, so don't limit yourself, they're just generalizations. Consume interesting media. For all these media types, break down how they work, their deeper meaning, and most importantly of all, be inspired by the new content wreaking havoc throughout your brain. Books are an obvious one. Read books in your genre, read books completely outside your genre. Currently I'm reading romance and horror right now, which is far from my typical lighthearted YA action reads. I even recently read a detective novel, which is a genre I hate, but I wanted to explore and expand a little bit, and not limit myself to books I only like. Movies and TV shows. Again, watch something you normally don't, and don't get me wrong, don't go on that Netflix binge. I know a lot of you don't take this as justification for that. Just get that fresh perspective you need, follow why a show is successful, why it isn't successful, why the plot works, why the character progression's good. Try to break them down. Anime. Now I know not everyone's a fan, but the typical standard basic plot or insane worlds really pushes you outside your bounds. Death Note is basically the same as you writing your enemies in your book to die, for example. Screw you, Arthur. Conversations. This is the most important one for me. Conversations force you to look at another person's perspective. They force your brain to create new links far away from your normal views. Games. Once again, not everyone is a fan, but they can be a great source of information, especially choice-based games like Mass Effect 3. I mean, do you pick red, blue, or the green sky? It blows my... I don't know what to do. Obviously I'm joking, but they can put you into moral dilemmas you might want to replicate in your book. And finally, music. Do I really need to say more? Idea generation techniques. Now we're prepared, let's get that noggin jogging. Chores are the first one, and there's a reason why most people get ideas in the shower or when they're doing their laundry. It's time to think while you're doing something that takes very little processing power in your brain. Chores and menial tasks like going to the toilet don't require you to think much, you just do it. During these times, let your mind wander on a character problem, a plot issue, or even nothing at all. Asking yourself hard questions is also a great method. Why is my character doing this? Why would Alice run away? How does this work? What is the effect on my world if nanites make you immortal? What would happen in 100 years after that? Would we have control of birth? Would we stop anyone reproducing? What would happen? Asking questions is my personal solution to most problems, and it's really popular for most writers. Just write down a bunch of questions on a problem and normally it'll fix itself out. Vocalize your ideas off a soundboard. Sometimes you need help in coming up with ideas. This help comes in the form of friends, family, and in my case, a reluctant girlfriend who threatened to stick a sock in my mouth if I didn't shut up. Vocalizing your ideas to others around you helps create an ebb and flow in your mind. Find your victim who you're gonna yell at, and I'm sure most of you already have one of these, and vocalize away until they start screaming and threaten to punch you. Just before that limit, keep going though. Steal/be inspired. I covered this in my video of stealing ideas. Watch your media of choice, and if you see a great subplot or character arc, adapt it into your book. Just ensure it's not a carbon copy, and consider and make sure it works in your world and with your characters. I get a metric ton of ideas from what I read and watch and then adapt it into mine. There's nothing wrong with that. Study the opposite takes on the same idea. The opposite side of the coin can help you understand your idea more fully or see a new aspect of it. Listen to music. Note that it's impossible to do two things at once, it's been proven. But for me, this can be destructive in my work and concentration when I listen to music. Other times it gets me into the zone. Be a little bit careful with this one. It does take processing power and it does unfocus you, but for some people it does work. You'll know yourself. Mind maps can be really helpful. One's on screen right now. It's basically a diagram that represents your thoughts. This can help show relations between ideas and help you link them together, or create a ton of new ideas off it. For me, this is extremely helpful whenever I'm starting up and building a world. Relation/correlation. Similar to the mind map, write or think of any relations and correlations between your ideas to make fresh ones. This is a really simple concept but really effective. Writing partners. Having a writing partner to speak to, pose questions to, or even just evaluate your idea is maybe one of the best methods anyone can use, and I advise anybody listening to get a writing partner. Other writers know how interesting an idea is or if it'll come up and work within your story because they have experience themselves. When writers come together, they can be an endless source of new ideas. If you're stuck for ideas, I have a few methods for you. Note that these are normal methods as well and can work as well as the other ones I've covered, but they work especially well when you're stuck. Use another creative medium. Draw a picture, marvel at your coin collection, make a paper plane, whatever you're interested in. This can help stir up creative juices. Get away. My personal all-time favorite. It's one point that most writers will use. Get away. Go for a walk, make some tea, do your chores, take a bath. I walk around 4 to 10 miles a day by myself or with my brother. It clears my mind and it helps me actually come up with ideas as well, which is really great. Meditate. Clearing your mind to meditate helps one of my friends and apparently quite a few of you. I haven't tried it, but I've heard it works wonders. I personally take the piss and my mind's too active to ever shut down, so yeah, do try it. Apparently it does work in all seriousness, but it's not for me. I'll get demonetized if I even say this stuff, so I've got to keep it light. I want to start off by saying that if you're underage, don't. And if you're an adult who doesn't do these things, don't start. These are harmful substances, and I'm being absolutely serious. People tell me this does work. I can't say anything personally. I'm not endorsing these, and a friend of mine smokes green cigarettes, if you get my drift. He is more creative and does come up with a lot of ideas. Most of them are garbage, but he does trip over a gem occasionally. These methods have been in writing culture since the beginning of time. Many of the greats, Stephen King had a drug habit, or a drinking habit, or a smoking habit, or all three combined. Many authors have a lot of these. So this method does work for some, and it's made some amazing books out of it. But again, I'm just informing you. This is one I can't endorse for obvious reasons. And that's it for the video, guys. That's the main methods I could come up with or find. They're all on screen now. If you know any that I've missed or methods that personally work for you, put them in the comments to help others. And that's it for me, guys. Have an absolutely great day. Best of luck in the book, and I'll catch you on the flip side.